For centuries, artists around the world have used marionettes to tell stories and entertain people of all ages. And right now, right here in Northwest Washington, a family is using the skills handed down from a previous generation to keep this magic alive. Their vision, their persistence, and even the place they live may seem a bit out of the mainstream, but these 21st century puppet masters have not only handcrafted dozens of marionettes from head to toe, they've also built a theater that welcomes the community to join them for live performances. To get there, you need to travel off the beaten path. Heading toward Mount Baker and crossing the Nooksack River, we're venturing into the backwoods of Huckleberry Hill to meet Laura and Michael Carroll and Betty Ann Abide, the founders of Welcome Marionettes, to experience the magic of their puppet house theater firsthand.
My parents were puppeteers. They were the Scots Marionettes. They went all over the West Coast, toured for, about 25 years at least. My father died when I was 2. And they had a full-time theater in Carmel, California. And I'm not sure how many years that was. I could look it up, but that's where they were when he died. My brother Walter, who is 14 years older than myself, so he was 16 at the time, tried to take the show on the road. He found it too difficult by himself. So that was the end of the puppets, which actually did end with a very tragic fire. They had been stored at Pacific Grove in a trailer, which it burned, and so did all the puppets. I do have photographs and some memory kinds of things like that. That's where I got the idea of puppets. And after I finished teaching and doing a bunch of wood carving and things like that, I decided that if I didn't do it, if I didn't bring them back to life, they were gone from the family. And I have a large family, so I wanted them back for them, and that's when I started. We started in 2001. Betty Ann, Mike, and I working, and worked all the way through until the COVID hit, and then we were stopped.
I'm Michael Carroll, and I worked with Betty Ann and Laura. I performed the puppets, and I also did music in the background and also out in front.
When Betty Ann first started here, and she's just absolutely wonderful at making costumes and everything. We started with Peter and the Wolf, and Betty Ann was so shy that she wouldn't say anything, so I had all her lines. And later on, Betty Ann was saying everything and singing and everything else. So that,
well, no, not everything, but
yeah. I was interested in bringing marionettes back. You will see that they are a very classic form of puppetry. And I also wanted, as a theme, we presented classical themes. I moved out of Carmel when I was 13 and ended up in Lake Stevens. Mother was in the Red Cross and she got a job up here. So that's why I ended up in This area, in Everett area. And we met there,
And we met there.
and we had a great time.
We had a good time.
That was the 1970s. Everybody had a good time. And we had a great art teacher, John Simpson. Great guy. Yeah, he still is a great guy. Beautiful. I love it here. You know, we were talking about that just the other day when I was going to college and Michael was working in town. We lived in town for about 5-6 years, and I loved it then. We moved out here in '81 and started to build. We didn't know how to build. Mm-hmm. We followed Helen and Scott Nearing's tradition of rock building. Mm-hmm. We were very fortunate in that there's a great deal of rock around here, and it was free. How I like it, you couldn't get me out of here. I'm an old lady now, I'm 80, and you couldn't pay me to be anywhere else. And the top? I can go first. Now this show is Alice in Wonderland, and we start with the tea party with, of course, the Mad Hatter and the hare. All right. This one does not seem to have the little guy that goes with him to be the. This is the Duchess. Isn't she lovely? She's very heavy. And here is the fellow who comes running out, you know, off with his head, sort of thing. Of course, these guys, and here's Alice. And the Queen, who dearly loves to say, "Off for the head! Off for the head!" This is the King. He doesn't have too many lines. This, of course, is the hare, the rabbit. It's a good example of a large puppet. Now this puppet, if made with practically anything, would be too heavy. He's made out of sponge rubber. And one of the things that we discovered when we were visiting the Puppet Museum in Bremerton was that you carve this with an electric knife. It works beautifully. And so you have a puppet that moves nicely, is fairly light, and can do whatever you need to have done. This is the armature for a classical marionette, and we've found it to be about the best for what we need to do. This is styrofoam. It's just 1-inch styrofoam, and it's been glued together. Of course, you can make it bigger if you want to. And then you would carve it around so that you got a nice oval or whatever you were after for your inside of your head. There is wire running through both sides. This is going to be the ears, this is the top, and this is the neck. All right? Then you are going to start working with a rock hardwood putty. I found this to be the very best substance for making details on your head. Now it's water soluble. You can mix up what you need and then start working, just sculpting around until you've got a real head. Now I have these ring screws set here because that's what you're going to use. This ring screw is going to go to the neck. These two will be shoulder strings. The shoulder strings are very important because the whole weight of the puppet is on the shoulders, not the head. You want the head to be able to move easily. This material is here because you're going to cut holes so that you can get your ring screws through. It's going to be glued on, and it's what's going to hold your chest to the rest of it. Now, these have been cut this way out of one piece of doweling so that they will move this way. And you're going to glue, just as you have this, and you're going to glue this material to hold it together. And then they can move fairly decently, but not backwards. You don't want that to happen. You're going to glue it with just ordinary Elmer's glue. That works just fine. Now, that's for both hands or arms. And then this is the hip, and it's going to connect with a ring screw. And so it can move a little bit back and forth this way or forward a little. So that is the skeleton of a classical marionette. And it's about 18 inches, which is normally the size of what you would have as an adult thing. Oh, also, we have the hands. Now, we were talking about Themo as a material to make hands with. I found this very helpful. You know, it's expensive, but you could make maybe 3 sets of hands, and you bake them in your oven so that they're hard. That works out very nicely. Let's see. How is she put together? Let's see. Oh, yes. Now, she has material, but they're glued just to the top. So this particular foot does not have any movement this way. But she's rather sweet. Oh, and this is a different kind of hair, you know, the kind you get for dolls and things in craft stores. So that works rather nicely for her.
Wouldn't you feel degraded being seen with a cowardly lion? I would.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, it's been in me so long, I just gotta tell you how I feel.
All right then.
Yeah, believe me, Missy, it's sad to be a sissy without a vim and verb. But I could show my prowess. I am not a mouse if I only had the nerve. Oh, I'd be in my stride, a king down to the core. Oh, I'd growl like I never growled before. And then I'd roil some more. I'd show the dinosaurus who's king of the forest. A king he better serve. Yeah. I'd use my regal visa to be another Caesar if I only had a nerve.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. We hear he is a whiz of a whiz, if ever a whiz there was. If ever a whiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.